For the players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the PopCulturists PlayStation Podcast. Over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 10 plus years in the game's mini bum. I want to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on those YouTubes. But if you'd like to join us in future conversations with us, you can. Come and check out all our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below. If
you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturists, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. And if you are listening to us on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturists, as well as our merchandise store, popculturists.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. Now, we are on a tight schedule tonight. So it's currently 10 p.m. on a Sunday. I have done 4 wrestling shows in 3 days, hence why it's recording, because we did one today and I got home at 9:30, I guess. And now we're here, as I just got to quickly do that. Yeah, so I got back here at 9:30, quickly cooked some dinner. Now I'm sitting here chatting to Max, and I'm fucking rooted. Max, but how are you though?
How about the same? Yeah, it's been a pretty chill weekend. I'm still in recovery mode from PAX last weekend, I think, to a degree.
Yeah, PAX, then working, and then this, and then working, and then I guess back to regular life now. I'm rooted. Absolutely rooted.
I'll take another Monday off, mate.
Oh man, the problem is I'm like the only manager tomorrow until the end of the month, so like I'm only accountable for me, I suppose. But it's got to get done. It's like I could take the time, but then I just have to work more later. That's not very, very fun. But yeah, look, I'll just quickly say this though, and then we'll get straight into the shit. But because I know that some of the crew of the DMDU, the company that I work for, do check out this show. So it's been, I just want to put this out there into the ether. So like, yeah, we've done 4 shows in 3 days. We brought, there was a team over at ICW NHB, ICW No Holds Barred, based out of the US, another deathmatch company that came and did the shows with us. It has been exhausting. It has been tiring. And I didn't even take a single bump. I just worked and pressed buttons and played music, but I know, yeah, for those that do listen and that are part of the crew, I just gotta say, like, I really appreciate being invited, being involved, and being allowed to share in what is a pretty massive moment within the local wrestling, especially local deathmatch wrestling scene. In the same way that it was lovely to be involved in the deathmatch tournaments, and yeah, because over this weekend I didn't just represent the company that I work for. I helped represent another one in that, they trusted me to make their shows go off because they recorded 2 shows here, and then we did our show, and then we did a combined show, and they trusted me to help make the production side of it come together. And I don't know, it means a lot. It was very interesting on the drive home, as someone with the challenge that I have in my brain is I feel like that I'm a constant failure and I let people down constantly. So to have a conversation with people this evening, as I was leaving, and I was lovingly told the exact opposite. It was really nice, and I really appreciate them. And I just want to put that out there. And today was good. It's good energy today. I'm really happy.
And then you got this fuck being like, hurry up.
And then I'm like, well, I've got to go home and now do more stuff. So it's exciting times. But look, we are on a tight schedule. Max has to leave for work in like 54 minutes as of right now. So let's get all this fucking sad soppy shit out of the way and let's just get right into section. We'll talk about games that we have been playing. Now, granted, because I've been fucking flat chat, I've barely touched anything. What have you been playing, Max? There's a game that Max has been playing we can't talk about yet, wink. But outside of that one, what have you been playing?
I mean, outside of that, I'm still playing, I'm still touching Destiny. I'm still touching Rocket League. I've been playing a lot of League of Legends. But other than that, not much.
Mm.
It's been a pretty quiet week. For the most part, I've been Hadley's just been wanting me to put her to bed lately, and I've just been falling asleep with her. So I've been like waking up at 10 o'clock at night and then going, oh, I gotta go to work in an hour. I'll just watch some TV. So I haven't really been playing much, to be honest.
Yeah, like for me, after the PAX weekend, I'm just being exhausted then, and then working, and then just trying to get shit together for this weekend. Has been, there's not a lot. So I did have some downtime yesterday morning and this morning where I didn't have to leave as early to get to where I needed to be. So I did get to sit down and I played some PGA 2K23. So a big thank you to the team over at 2K Australia for providing us the code for this like a week ago. But I just didn't get to touch it until like days after it released. Like we did get it like nice, a good little bit early, but then we got it, then PAX, then existing, and then this weekend. So... yeah, it's pretty cool. So I jumped into the game, went to the straight into the My Career mode because that's what I play it for, and it was weird. The game almost built me automatically. Now I don't know whether I just happen to have generic fucking white person face, but yeah, very quickly at the boot of the game, I was like, and my player won this. I'm like, did you pull from like data from the last one? Do I just have a generic face? I don't know what it was, but I had to make some minor tweaks. And suddenly Betson's playing golf on a relatively pro level. Yeah, look, relatively pro, man. I started in the amateurs, it's the right thing to do. So unlike, Everybody's Golf, which, I'm a big fan of and played it back in the day, this is a bit more into that simulation space. So very similar to like MLB The Show. It is a bit more, it's as easy or as pro as you want it to be, or a simulation, I should say. Which is very interesting because as you boot the game up and you pull it over on your cross media bar on the PS5, the music almost sounds identical to MLB The Show. I'm like, oh, that's fucking interesting. That's so weird. But yeah, go in, make me, build myself, get some nice slacks on, get a nice black shirt on because that's very Betson, and then I go and whack a ball down some things. It looks great. It plays pretty much the same as the previous year. Having not spent like really a lot of time with it to sort of get all the intricacies of what this new version is, or even getting into the Tiger Woods side, which is the big selling point of this one. I'll have more as this week progresses, and we'll have a lot more to say hopefully next week, which is cool. Because there's a couple of games that we have to be playing and we're not. We have all this. I know it's weird. It's so weird. We have this really cool like first world circumstance. We're like, hey, here's a bunch of cool games that we can play and review. I'm like, fantastic.
Like I'm still
really
working
busy.
I'm still working through Valkyrie Elysium, which was provided by the team over at Bandai Namco Australia. We got a copy of Dragon Ball Z Breakers. The Breakers.
Dragon Ball Z Breakers that came through on Friday as well. Yeah.
That asynchronous multiplayer game set in the Dragon Ball universe that's come through from the team over at Bandai Namco Australia, and I've installed it. I just haven't had time to launch it. Now granted, I was lucky enough to play in the closed network test, and I kind of poo-pooed it a little bit. So hopefully it's fixed a lot of the issues that I have been.
That's why when the offer came through, it was like, hey, do you guys want to review Dragon Ball Z Breakers? I was like, well, Max shat on it. Yes, because I just want to see, I want to see whether your opinions change. I want to see whether, because I think one of the greatest things, yes, the closed network test is essentially just a stress test of the network, but if the feedback across the board was pretty average, which it was. Now, granted, the game's only like $25.
I really hope it has, because it's such a loved IP, and it would be such a shame to see it not do well. In saying that though, a lot of those asynchronous games just don't work well. They're just really hard to balance, and they just
everyone tries to do them. Like Evolve was a big one, and then the Friday 13th and
Dead by Daylight has stayed its welcome fairly well.
Mm.
But yeah, like Evolve, Dead by Daylight, the Predator one, the
The Texas
there's
Chainsaw one's coming out
yeah, I
soon.
think there's a Ghostbusters one coming
Yeah,
out
Ghost,
soon.
but like, I don't get the appeal of the asynchronous multi, and like everyone has a boner for it apparently, but I'm yet to see one actively deliver. So all power to them.
I had a blast playing Friday the 13th, but I had fun because the game was jank.
Yeah,
And that made it fun.
everyone likes them for the wrong reason. But everyone still, I guess someone wants to be the one that makes it work, and I don't know. I'd like to see them try. Oh yeah, I got a tattoo this week. Yeah, there you go. That's something new. So I'm like, why does my wrist hurt? Oh yeah. So I finally got my him heartogram tattoo, my lunch break tattoo on Tuesday. 14 years in the making, I guess, and then I finally got it.
My friend got one of those a few years back,
Mm.
and then after about a year, had it surgically removed.
Really? Well,
I didn't lose it off.
all right. Well, I said I've been wanting this since I was 14 years old. I'm now 32. So
Are you buying Blink-182 tickets?
I've already got them.
You've already got them.
Yeah. So the pre-sale was this week, and Ethan hit me up. So Ethan from Tag Mods. He's like, "Hey man, you want to go to Blink? Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I talked about it on Twitter." He's like, "Cool. I bought 8. You want one?" I'm like, "Yes."
How much were they?
$220.
Jesus.
But like Blink-182, and because like last time I saw them was at Soundwave, and Travis didn't come because he was afraid of planes, understandably so. So I'm excited to see all the original 3 lineup for the first time ever. Rise Against is their support act, and I've really fallen into their music as of late, so that's sweet too. Yeah, no, I'm just in. I haven't been to a gig in years, so even though I won't get to go to this one until 2024, 2023, sorry, but is it 2023 or 2024? Either way, it's a long ass time away. Whenever the fucking actual tour is, it's very likely that Tom DeLonge will leave the band between now and then. But we'll wait and see. But yeah,
because I went to have a look at tickets, but I got told that the pre-sale wasn't until the 19th, the day before.
Yeah, this was like a different thing.
Yeah.
So this is like there was pre-sale and there's like a members thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got tickets. That's pretty sweet. How the fuck did we get there? I'm getting a tattoo.
Yeah, that's how we got there. That's literally it.
Yeah, cool. But we're talking about games we've been playing. Oh, and Hollow Knight. I've been playing more Hollow Knight too, and I've continued to go a lot further in that game than I had before, and now I've got extra abilities, and it's doing that. The fun part is when I unlocked the Mantis Claw, which is the jump on the wall, so you can start doing the completely opens the game again. So now I'm starting to go back through all the old areas and see what I've missed. I've taken out a couple of bosses now. The game's really, really good. I clearly wasn't ready for that game at the time, but I am now, and that's what counts. All right, let's get into the section called Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation. Now, granted, last week you did get our lovely episode from the floor of PAX Australia. So there were some things that did drop last week that we haven't touched upon. We'll touch upon probably the bigger ones that are most interesting because a lot of stuff happened. But the first one, of course, is God of War going gold. It is happening. My draft is no longer fucked as much. So shout out to God of War Ragnarok for hitting its date.
I don't want to shit all over your hype and stuff, but Cyberpunk also went gold.
It sure did. And then got delayed. This one hasn't yet. But yeah, that's the thing. So I'm excited for this because it's finally coming true. It is coming. It's happening. I'm very excited. I've got my controller pre-ordered. I've got my collector's edition pre-ordered. I'm ready to go. I already spoke to PlayStation. I'm like, hey man, something we can do. Yeah, it comes out the week of my birthday. It's November 9th. Birthday November 6th. Expect messages. But yeah, no, I'm keen. It's finally happening. It's very, very cool. But speaking of Cyberpunk, though.
Yeah, so CDPR basically went, hey, here's our long-term product outlook, and they're like, we've got Project Sirius, which is an innovative take on the Witcher universe, telling an unforgettable story for existing Witcher fans and new audiences. And they basically went, hey, we're going to do a new Witcher trilogy. It's going to be awesome. One of them is going to be kind of like semi-multiplayer, which is interesting. And then they double down on Cyberpunk. They're like, Phantom Liberty's coming soon. It's the expansion. And then we've got Project Orion coming at a later date. And then they're like, just because we can, we've got a completely new IP that has nothing to do with The Witcher or Cyberpunk whatsoever. And that's just in the pipeline. So CDPR kind of blew their load last week and just went, we're doing it. This is it.
Yeah, so they essentially did, and I'm like the MCU approach. We're like, hey, here's our entire slate of things for the next 10, actually, for the amount of these games for the next 15 years, which is concerning for me, seeing as it was about this time, X amount of years ago, that they announced Cyberpunk 2077, and then it didn't come out for forever, and then it did, and it sucked ass. So the thing that interests me the most is I will still argue to this day that CD Projekt Red are not a good company. They never have been, and they never were. And what they did previously was overpromise and underdeliver. And I'm sorry, telling us what your next 15 years of games are is overpromising. And you better fucking deliver. Now, granted, Cyberpunk's apparently better now, but you fucked up. And it's not the creative. Like, the problem that they had with CD Projekt Red was their clear and obvious lie and deceit around knowing full well that 2077 was trash, that it wasn't running as it should, it wasn't operating, it wasn't what they said it was going to be, yet they continued down that path. So hearing everyone get really excited and hopeful about what CDPR could deliver because they said Witcher and everyone has a boner for The Witcher, I don't know, it just screams of that company love fanboy. Like, which is interesting because even though we have a show about PlayStation, like, we aren't just endlessly optimistic about what PlayStation deliver. Like,
the concern for me is that they've also one of the blasts that they put out was all 3 games of this new Witcher trilogy is aimed to be delivered within a 6-year period following the release of the first title. So they're going to smash them out every 2 years. Or every 3 after that, I guess.
Yeah. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I like to see them deliver, but also don't, because fuck them. But all power to them, I suppose. Let's see what happens.
But enough about what games are coming. Let's talk about the games that are currently available on the extra and premium tiers of PlayStation Plus. And spoiler alert, there's still no PS1 or PS2
Fuck's sake.
So for the extra tier, we have the rest of the Assassin's Creed. So China, India, Russia, 3 remastered Syndicate and Odyssey, all the PS4 versions.
For fuck's sake.
Then we have all of the Dragon Quest games. We've got Builders 2, Dragon Quest Heroes, The World's Tree Woe, and The Blight Below, Heroes 2, Dragon Quest 11S, Echoes of the Elusive Age, all PS4 versions. We have GTA Vice City, the definitive edition.
Ooh, is 3 still on there?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it was time.
We have Hohokum, PS4, Inside PS4, Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker PS4, which was a essential title a couple of weeks back, I think. And The Medium coming to PS5.
I might play The Medium. Apparently it's hot poo, but like if these guys are handling Silent Hill moving forward, I kind of need to check it out.
For Premium, we have Castlevania, Lords of Shadow PS3, Everyday Shooter PS3.
Not here, you do.
Limbo, Ultra Street Fighter 4, Yakuza's 3, 4, and 5 remastered, all on PS4. Now, there was a snafu around these titles. Apparently, when they first announced them, Limbo and Ultra Street Fighter 4, they were releasing the PS3 versions, not the PS4 versions. So they were going to be streamable only. And then they quickly rectified that when, jokes, PS4 versions.
Speaking of jokes, this whole fucking PS Plus is a joke. How is there no PS2 games? How is there no PS1 games? It's the exact reason that they marketed that premium. And like, I'm sorry, like, are they trying to, but because they're remastered versions, or it's Ultra Street Fighter 4, like, when we said PS1 and PS2 in classic games, we meant the remastered versions of the ones you want to play. It's like, no, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we paying money? And like, they fucked you, and like, they made you pay all of it up front, so you don't have a choice. They have your money, so who cares?
That's it.
It's gross. It's absolutely disgusting. Like, they have an endless amount of games from PS1, PS2, and even the PS3 for those, like, I guess not for us, but like at least for us, PS1, PS2. There is a metric fuck ton of games that they could pull from that people want to play, but they ain't doing it. And I don't know why. It's almost like they really didn't plan this out. Or even that one time that Jim Ryan was like, had a, shat on Gran Turismo. Like, it was like Gran Turismo 2 or something. He's like, I don't even want to play this. It's almost like the person running it has no fucking idea about games preservation or why we care about games as an art form, as a medium, even from X amount of years ago. Fuck him. Get your fucking shit sorted, PlayStation. God damn it. Sony passes on Games Pass because just to make it worse, they're like, hey, we don't need your Games Pass. We have our own shitty version. In a statement that Microsoft made to the UK competition regulator CMA, in which the tech juggernaut says Sony, quote, has chosen to block, end quote, Game Pass on its platforms. This is all in service of trying to convince regulators that Microsoft's $70 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard is a good thing for the industry. The company then goes on to big up Game Pass and the benefits that it offers to the gamers, while also having a good old shot at PS Plus. Quote, this increased Games Pass competition has not been welcomed by the market leader Sony, which has elected to protect its revenues from sales of newly released games rather than offer gamers the choice of accessing them via a subscription. PlayStation Plus, the statement concludes. What's your thoughts, Max?
I mean, it's a no-brainer that Sony would not want Games Pass on its platform. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read the next bit of news because it kind of ties in together with this one, and then we'll do a big discussion afterwards. So, in a statement made to GamesIndustry.biz in response to comments made by the Competitions and Markets Authority, Microsoft effectively believes that Sony is being a baby. Quote, the suggestion that the incumbent market leader with clear and enduring market power could be foreclosed by the third largest provider as a result of losing access to one title is not credible, end quote. The CMA has argued that its Activision Blizzard buyout could, quote, impair Sony's ability to compete, end quote. Microsoft went one step further, suggesting that if every single Call of Duty gamer on PlayStation switched to Xbox, quote, the PlayStation gamer base would remain significantly larger than Xbox, end quote. Of course, it failed to back up that hypothesis with any data. It concluded, quote, while Sony may not welcome increased competition, it has the ability to adapt and compete. Gamers will ultimately benefit from this increased competition and choice, end quote.
Well, I asked you before. What's your thoughts?
So, they're both kind of...
They're both assholes!
They're both kind of being childish over this. Like, yes, Xbox are offering a service over here where you can pay a monthly fee and have access to it straight away. Whereas Sony is currently in the premium service of buy it outright, you get to keep it forever type thing. And obviously at the moment they do have those deals with Activision. So, all the content comes to PlayStation early, yada, yada, yada. And now they're kind of complaining that Microsoft have kind of come in, bought their ball from them and taking it back to their playground. So, yes, obviously there's a difference between getting early access to content and possibly having an exclusivity deal now.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't see that happening. I don't think it's in Microsoft's best interest to just completely fence off Call of Duty. And at the same time, I kind of agree that Sony's probably got such a big market share that even if all the Call of Duty players just jump ship, they probably would still have enough of a market share just in their own playground anyway without COD. Especially with how Call of Duty has been in the recent releases. It hasn't been that fantastic. That granted is still one of the highest selling games of all time. But the fans constantly complain. Yes, they're still buying it, but it'll be interesting to see at what point they'll be like, enough is enough.
Well, so this is the thing, is because there's no replacement. There's no substitute for Call of Duty. And that's part of what PlayStation are complaining about. Now, I believe this is to their own detriment. That, having them sit there and go, oh man, it's a little bit shit that like we don't have a competitor for Call of Duty. It is. You had one. You tried.
Yeah, and Microsoft pointed that out. They're like, Sony may not be welcome to the increased competition, but they have the ability to adapt and compete. They're just choosing not to.
Yeah, and like the thing, they became solely reliant on that deal. They're like, well, all right, cool. Well, we're gonna have this sweet deal with Call of Duty, sweet. But like, granted, that deal was originally made when this whole merger and acquisitions thing wasn't a thing. So like, I do also get the complaint around the example you use about Microsoft buying their ball and taking it away. But like Sony have only ever really borrowed the ball. Actually, not really. Like if anything, they didn't. There's some content, right? Like they got a slightly different ball. It's the same ball, but it's just slightly different. And there was a window of time where Xbox had this slightly different ball. So it's not as if there's a big difference between having a slightly different ball and not having the ball at all. And hence the frustration, I guess. Like for me, cool. Like I've lived this 1,000 times, and I'm sick of hearing it. If I'm being blatantly honest, I am so sick of hearing about all of this. And then when you hear when you hear that Jim Ryan is taking time out of his fucking presumably busy schedule to fly to Brussels just to have a cry, just to have a whinge about all this. Now this deal is going ahead, and like it makes me wonder their motives here. Are they doing this just to extend it out? Are they trying to block it, or are they just trying to delay the inevitable? Because both options are interesting, and they should. Like I appreciate them trying because it's better than not trying. But it's fascinating that the beef is just around Call of Duty. They're like, well, everything. What about everything else? Oh no, fuck that. Who cares? What about like? It's just fascinating that their focus is so heavily on Call of Duty. It seems to be like it's what they're grabbing onto. It's almost like they don't have an issue with it overall, but they have an issue with like or they do and they can only grab onto one thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But then again, as we discussed multiple times and previously, the level of hypocrisy at which PlayStation will have exclusive runs of games, not timed exclusive, but straight up exclusives of particular things. But in that same breath, people do not understand that there is a very big difference between, buying the milk from the factory or buying the whole fucking factory. It's a bigger problem than that, and it has been this entire time. But the idea of like, well, why don't they just get Games Pass on PlayStation? It solves the problem in some ways, but it doesn't. I don't think that's the resolution either. It's almost like, hey, we kicked your dog, but you could just move your dog.
Yeah, because the idea would be, obviously, being on their platform, they would get a cut of the service revenue to a degree, but they would miss out on that premium $125 sale of the title.
Yeah, so when they make 70% on something, it's a very big difference, that 70%. But I don't know. I'm very tired, and my brain isn't kicking into gear properly. But like, I still don't understand why the problem is them blocking it, right? As in blocking Games Pass on the console,
I guess it's just that. It's that year on year, Call of Duty is probably the biggest seller. And with Sony's market share, it's probably also their biggest seller on their platform to a degree. So if they're losing 70% of all those sales just to put Games Pass on there, or to potentially lose it to people going, well, I can pay $10 a month for it over here, as opposed to $125 in one bang here. type thing. It's one of those things of, how much money they're willing to lose before they shoot themselves in the foot.
And I will also fucking look. As I said, both companies are shit in this process, but it's disgusting that Microsoft are taking the approach of, hey man, like, you guys are hurting the customers. That's what you're doing. All your motivations here are just fucking anti-consumer. No, buying everything out from everyone. That is against the industry. That's like that's part of the problem. And then having it become that, like, hey, it's almost the exact same argument around, like, carbon footprint, right? Hey, can you all stop using straws because companies are polluting everything? So at least, you become accountable as an individual because you're putting the blame onto the wrong people, or you're victimizing the wrong people. Because, we're just trying to offer the best deal for our fucking gamers. I'm like, A, that's gross. And 2, no, you're not. No, you're not. Fuck them. But PlayStation did release one thing this week. It's also under just very similar to PS Plus, also underwhelming. PS Stars. So PlayStation Stars dropped this week, as previously as we discussed. It is the new digital collectible service where you can get shit just by playing games, which is pretty cool. So it did. So it's a little loyalty stream. It did drop earlier this week in both Australia and New Zealand. Excuse me. For the time being, the service is only available on the PlayStation app, though it allegedly will be coming to the PS5 and your PS4's consoles in the future. No time provided. The main point of interest will be the points you're able to earn as a PS Plus subscriber, which can be exchanged for PS Store currency on free games. So there's a couple of little campaigns up right now. One of them is play a game. That was easy. I got a banana. Woohoo. Then there's one of like, hey, buy any 2 of these games, like Last of Us and this and that and then. So it is incentivizing you for buying games, which is interesting. Like, I haven't played any that are on the list. I'm like, well, we own them already. But like, I bought them on the PopC account, like, because I did also connect the PopC account to it just to suss out whether our review codes
it like retroactively,
whether it's retroactive or whether it contributes. Like, hey, if we get a code for this, is that gonna make it work? And like, so far, pretty much the majority outside of the banana one, they're all pretty much buy something, which I guess that's what it's there for. It's to reward people that are already doing these things anyway. Like, cool, but it's not. There's no like, hey, play this game. There's like, I don't know. Like, I'm open to it, and I have looked at it. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. But granted, my week's been very, very distracted. But I don't know. PlayStation Stars is underwhelming. Now, granted,
like a lot of things that Sony have done recently.
Yeah, but like, it is completely opt-in, and I opted in, so I can't be like, I opted in and I'm fucking disappointed. It's on me. Like, I could have not. And, like, I'm not being disadvantaged. Doesn't change. Like, by opting in, it doesn't change the games that are in my library. I don't lose access to half my shit. It's just a little added extra for things that you're already doing. And if you happen to save, like, fucking $5, $3, $10, awesome. Like, yeah, if you just get to play games and accumulate dollary dues, fucking A. Have you set it up on your account, Max?
I certainly have.
Have you made anything cool?
I think.
Was it, sorry?
I think I have like 3 collectibles. I got like a giant telescope, a banana, and one of the other ones.
How'd you get your telescope? What was that one?
It was launch a game with a certain soundtrack.
Oh, did you just happen to have those ones?
Just happen to have it, yeah.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, and I guess that's the only major downside to all of this, and I guess it's the big part, depending on your brain, right? If your brain's like, I need all of these things, and suddenly you're lured into doing shit you probably
shouldn't. I will 100% forget that it exists until it actually is available on my console, because I very rarely use the app.
Yeah, I use the app to redeem codes. That's it. And that's it. So, like, then I was like, bing, I'm like, huh? Oh, I forgot I did that. Even though I set up 10 minutes before I got the fucking ding. But yeah, until it's on the console, it's this weird. Like, I get people like, oh, it's not what it should be. But yeah, if done, if you play right, you get free money. Free money is good money. Like, you know, you were going to spend money on the store anyway. Sick.
Yeah.
Now you have little collectibles that are worth absolutely nothing. That's what achievements are. That's what trophies are. It's a slightly different meta game.
It's no fucking buy 10 get your 11th free, but
Yeah. And it's one of the like the industry as a whole has sadly fucked with people to literally destroy their understanding of value. You know, in that they're like PS Plus, PS Stars should be more. No, it shouldn't. It doesn't. It shouldn't be anything. It doesn't have to be anything because you choose to enter. If you don't choose to enter, then shut up. If you choose to enter, like myself, and go, oh well, that's kind of not what I thought it was. Okay, cool. Even my whole criticisms that I just gave it are fucking invalid because I chose to opt in. And I'm like, oh, I have to buy more games? Cool. I just, you know, as I sit here and talk about the privileged life I lead where I get fucking review codes. I'm like, does that count for me because I get my games for free? Probably not. But this is designed for the hardest of the hardcore. The ones that are going to do it anyway. And the ones just want to collect cool shit.
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm excited to see. But look, I said I'm open for it to be something cool, but knowing full well how PS Plus and the new tiers have been handled, I am only preemptively disappointed.
Well, speaking on disappointments, let's move over to the quick bits. Overwatch 2 launched earlier last week.
Oh yeah.
To a myriad of issues. It got DDoS for the first 2 days, and then 2 of the heroes didn't work properly, so they removed them from the game and all that other stuff. But the big one, which has brought a lot of contention to console players, is when playing Overwatch 2 on console, but using crossplay to play with PC friends, all aim assist gets disabled.
Yeah.
So you're already at a disadvantage against mouse and keyboard players.
Of course.
And they take away aim assist on controller when playing in PC lobbies.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those people kind of really don't realize how much like having a console like aim assist is a thing, which I appreciate because I'm trash. But like it's not like it's not aim assist in terms of like a bot. Like, hey, every shot will land. But just it makes it a little bit easier.
It smooths the cursor once you're kind of moving in the direction.
Yeah, as you kind of can't have the same level of accuracy that you can with a mouse and keyboard. So, it sounds like Overwatch 2 is bad. You know, it's like, hey, we've made a new one. We've pissed off the old one. You didn't ask for us to do this, but we did. And we just butchered it. It's like that World of Warcraft. It's that Warcraft 3 remastered all over again. Hey, we fucked it up. Can we go back to the original? No. GTA Definitive Edition. Hey, we fucked it up. Can we go back to the original? No.
Square Enix Montreal has now rebranded to Studio Anoma after being embraced.
Okay. Well, we can't really call themselves Square Enix Montreal anymore when they're not connected to Square Enix. That's it. Good decision.
Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty will feature a community-driven radio station featuring 12 to 15 songs created by the community. You can submit your tunes until the 30th of November this year.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
Can't wait for the ridiculous. This is the bullshit that people are like. I'll add a couple more because it was pretty light. So, did you know, Ryan, that the new grey camo controller, DualSense controller, actually has the PlayStation symbols inside the grey camoed portion of the controller?
Yeah, that's what they did previously. Like, this isn't new. They did this on the PS fucking 4 Slim.
Yep.
Cool. So it's good to know they've reused the exact same print.
You're doing it again. For the Persona fans out there, we're getting really shitty ports, apparently. We're only getting PS4 versions. There will be no PS5 versions of the upcoming Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Gold.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly. Because there's been no confirmation that's come on PS4 or PS5. This was all dated for Xbox, wasn't it?
So, no. So, recently, Atlas was seemingly unable to mention those same platforms on social media when it confirmed the release date of Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Gold, and it instead used the catch-all term of, quote, modern platforms.
Okay.
While all related graphics did only show Xbox logos.
Yeah, Yep.
What else was there? That's pretty much it. There was a whole lot of not much.
Yeah. Now, Grant, I'm sure we missed some things last week, because we only covered 2 things. But, it's fucking 10:40. I'm tired.
And I think that the other biggest one that's making its round on Twitter at the moment is apparently officially confirmed by one of the team members from
WB Montreal?
Yeah, from WB Montreal. Apparently, Gotham Knights will only run at a locked 30 frames per second on current-gen consoles, due to the completely untethered co-op playstyle.
So what do they mean by untethered co-op?
So my understanding is, or what I assume to mean when they say untethered co-op is, I believe it's an open world title. So player A can be over this side of the world, player B can be over this side of the world, completely untethered from each other, doing their own separate things. So it's rendering 2 parts of the cities at once, and essentially 2 lots of gameplay. Therefore, they're like, we have to lock it at 30, which
because we have to map the entire city.
Which begs the question of how fucked was it running on PS4?
Yeah, not well. If for some reason they can't just like, I remember when people when they explained how Horizon worked, which is pretty standard these days. Like the cone, right? You can only see the vision of your cone. Yeah, granted, people like looking in different directions, or their cones are not lining up. Like, I get it, but like, why render a bunch of fucking city that we're not in? But yeah, if they have to do it this way because the performance is all kind of jacked up or inconsistent, I guess. Because once again, by locking it at 30, it just means they couldn't guarantee you anything higher. So it's not as if they're like, oh, we just couldn't get 60 consistently. So it might be 40, 35, 47, 56, 42. Like, that's probably what it is. Like, they're like, oh, we can at least hit 30.
Yeah.
So it's not as if they're like, well, we can only max out at 30, but we're gonna hit 22s the whole time, which they might. I haven't fucking played it yet, but yeah, it just means they can't go higher.
Yeah.
Because a lock 30 is pretty tight.
It's a locked 30.
If it runs it, like, once again, that's presuming there's no drops or anything.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out when it comes out. Speaking of when it comes out, let's get in the section we call upcoming real games or new games. And they are coming this week as follows. A Plague Tale Requiem. Looks awesome, but I'm scared. Comes to PS5 on October 18th. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed PS5. Also coming October 18th.
I think that's the asynchronous.
That is the asynchronous multi. Norco. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Narco. That's like the Netflix series. Norco coming to PS5 on October 20th. You've put Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed on PS4 as well on October 18th. Well. And Norco is also coming to PS4 on the 20th. So
classic name.
Yep. New Tales from the Borderlands coming to PS4 October 21st and PS5 because Max is a thing.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights, as we mentioned, coming October 21st. And Persona 5 Royale is getting its PS5 version on October the 21st.
With, I believe, no upgrade path, so you have to buy it again.
I don't know why I bought it the first time. It's actually a really good game. A Gotham Knights, probably the big one this week. Borderlands is interesting, especially after post Telltale World. I think Plague Tale's probably the real big winner, and I think there's a lot of speculation. Excuse me, a lot of hesitation, I should say, around Gotham Knights, but Plague Tale. Everyone loved that first one so much. I think everyone's a little bit keen for Requiem.
I may or may not have it already installed
on your Xbox with the Games Pass.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to finish Innocence, but there's too many me's. I don't like it.
Now that we've wrapped on the PlayStation section, I just want to get your hot take on the Nintendo news of the voice actor for Bayonetta didn't reprise her role in Bayonetta 3 because she was only offered $4,000 to do voiceover lines.
It's disgusting. Respect your fucking talent. She's the voice of the main character, and you give her $4,000. Like, if you look at them, even from a percentage perspective, right? The actual percentage of that is abhorrent. Abhorrent. You know, like, it's like, hey, look, this game's going to do well. He's like, here's $20. But unlike the dude that made fucking The Witcher, when he sold it for $5,000 and then went, hang on, this is actually really successful. Under Polish law, he was allowed to negotiate. No, I appreciate this woman coming out and standing, because knowing that, like, you know, the likes of Troy Baker gets paid that probably a minute, and he's into fucking 1,000 things at any given time. Like, that just shows how much that this studio, which is what Platinum Games, genuinely gives a shit about that character, or at least or respects the actress that is taking that role. So, fuck them. Fuck them. All right, Max, we've got 13 minutes before you go to work.
Jeez. Oh, yeah, cool. I know what you want me to do. Well, everyone, this PlayStation conversation, it's fucking late, man.
It is.
But this PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, though, you can. Come and check out all our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/PopCulturists, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation Pod. If you're listening on podcast service, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturists, as well as our merchandise store, podcast.com/shop. Link my shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was for the players. All right, now cut.